If you are desiring to tap into your infinite inner knowledge for the purpose of expressing yourself more fully, and you are not quite sure how to go about it, click on the link below and book a session with myself and my spiritual team, and we would be honored to help you on your journey. Thank you so much, and have a great day. Hello, beautiful soul. Welcome to my channel. This is going to be the pick a pile message. Before I start, thank you so much for being here. If you are new to this channel, welcome. I hope you stay. My intention is to help you embody more of your true self. And my way of doing this is through channeling higher perspectives. And the whole idea behind doing that is to help you free yourself from your limitations. It's to help you experience more of life. And I freaking love doing that. So thank you so much for being here. If you would like to listen to the extended version, which was another 50 minutes of channeled material that talks about what's happening over the next 3 months, there's a link down below. Click there. It's absolutely free, doesn't cost you a penny. And yeah, there's a whole bunch of them, I think 3 months worth now. Thank you so much for those of you who are coming back. As always, it is one of my greatest pleasures to do what I do. It's to connect to higher consciousness, which feeds my purpose, if you will. It allows me to do what I love doing best, which is to be, I just heard, an independent communicator. Okay, all right, I'm an independent, that's cool. If you are ever wanting to work with me and my team, that information is down below. I feel like I'm missing something. Yes, if you see under comments somebody trying to advertise with a phone number to call in for a psychic reading, that is not me. Those are scammers, and there are many of them around right now. So please be mindful. I will never contact you that way, nor will I ever speak to you just by text. Everything is on video. Okay. So without further ado, just like I was mentioning in the extended, we've got some pretty powerful energies over the next 3 to 4 months. Between now and April, so that's 4.5 months almost. Very potent energy. So the idea here was to highlight some of the things that you could expect in the next 3 to 4 months in your life. So whichever pile you are drawn to the most, let the pile choose you. But there's often message in each pile for not for every person, but for many people. So as always, use your intuition. That is by far one of the biggest things that I try to communicate over and 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 over again. It's to learn to trust your intuition. It's to learn to trust yourself. Because we are all very powerful beings. We just don't remember that. We don't remember that. We remember that we are small, that we are insignificant, that we are not sufficient, that we are not good enough. Those are the things we tend to remember, which take us away from who we truly are. And this information is intended to help you uncover or discover some of those things that keep you small, so that they too can become conscious. Because as soon as something is conscious, there often becomes a choice what to do about the thing that you are conscious about. You can choose. If you have a limited behavior that you are not conscious of, by becoming conscious of that behavior, you can choose how you relate to that behavior? What is the relationship between you and your behavior? Where does your behavior come from? What does it mean when you behave a certain way? What is it? What story is it attached to? What truth is that holding on to? Why? So that when you're aware, you can pull the plug. You can say, no, thank you. I'm done with that. I choose to experience something more. But if you're not aware of that, you're not going to be able to benefit from that choice, because you won't even see that there is a choice to be had. You simply won't know any different. So the piles are going to highlight some areas that are likely to come up for you or to consider. And let's see what we've got. When I was meditating this morning and having a conversation, a very pleasant conversation, about 10 pages written down, I was told again, or it was communicated to me again in a different way, what my job is as Joanna. And it's to help you help you get more out of life. My job is really to help you get more out of life. Who doesn't want that? You tell me. Who doesn't want to experience more out of life? I have yet met a person who say, I want to experience less. Unless it's a choice for a little while, you have that experience and you move on. But no one consciously chooses to be less. To feel less, to be less, is a matter of survival a lot of the time. To play small is often a matter of survival. But that's how it's perceived. That we need to play small to survive, for example. And that comes from many lifetimes, many experiences one had. Okay, so these piles are going to address some of the areas perhaps where you feel small. And perhaps after hearing some things, you will reconsider. You will reconsider how you see yourself, by realizing that you have a choice how you see yourself. You have a choice in the how you see yourself. It's up to you. But if you don't know that you have that choice, you're never going to be able to play with it. You're never going to be able to realize that choice. You're never going to be able to experience something different. Many people are scared of being different. Why? Because in the past, being different meant you don't belong. So many of us are feeling that, or have felt it, not knowing where your place is. And here's the thing. When we begin to understand our true nature, when we begin to solidify the connection we have with Source, which is what I talked about in the channeled session and the extended. Without that connection, without that understanding, life gets harder. Okay? So even though we are here in this world having challenges, to remember the connection and to be able to utilize this connection allows us to move through these challenges in different ways. Okay? So, without further ado, pile number 1. What might you be experiencing over the next 3 to 4 months? Okay. So, what I see here, this is 2 of Wands, by the way. I am not a traditional tarot reader, for those of you who don't know. That's not my gift. But I look at images and I get impressions or stories or whatever comes to me. And what I see is that some of you, this is within the next 3 to 4 months, between now and April, I would say, you are trying to hold on to something that it's, how do I say this? I want to say something that's falling. You're trying to hold on to something that's falling apart. It could be business, it could be relationship, it could be situation, it could be, it's a challenge, okay? I feel like it's work related for many of you, okay? But you're holding on. So I'm focusing on the feeling of you holding on and not giving up. So perhaps you're going to be in a situation when you are holding on to something that you feel like it's falling apart, but you're holding on to. You're holding on to it. And there's a reason why you're holding on to it. And it's because if you believe that it was going to fall apart, you wouldn't be hanging on to it. So you have a belief that whatever this is, it's going to get better. And I want to say these words to you. I think you're right. I think it's going to get better, whatever that is. So pile number 1, there's a challenge that's going to be presented to you. You might even be in it. I'll show you the picture and see if that means anything. Okay. I also heard you are climbing up the ladder. Okay. You are climbing up the ladder, and this is not a physical ladder that we use to paint, for example. This is career-wise, corporate ladder. You're climbing up the ladder, okay? And it is an intense experience for you. It's an intense experience. Why is it intense? Because you have to do it alone. It's, I don't know how to explain it. It's a challenge. I'm asking, is it bad? And they're saying there's no such thing as good or bad. So this is an opportunity to know yourself and to know your own strength, because you are capable of so much more, but you're not seeing that yet. And this situation is going to help you recognize the sheer strength and stamina you possess when you believe in something. That's how it wants to come out, okay? I hear choose wisely. So there is a choice to be made. You're arriving at a choice point, okay? Embrace transition. This is coming up a little bit in a reverse. This obviously denotes that you are in transition. Okay, we're all in transition collectively. But for pile number 1, there's this distinct. You are smack middle in a transition. You're between 2 places. Okay. And whatever this is a risk. Some of you are taking a big risk. Okay, you are putting a lot on whatever it is that's in the future. You're doing a lot of hard work. You're doing a lot of hard work. And some of you are very tired. And this is internal work. Okay. Some of you may be resisting this transition. It is, yeah. Some of you may be resisting this transition. The more you resist it, the more hard it's going to get. Because I feel like you can't stop this transition. You can't stop this transition. And I just heard, it is happening for you, not to you. It is happening for you, not to you. I feel like something big is in the work, but you don't know that yet. You don't know it yet. You're preoccupied with the discomfort of what you are experiencing. But beyond this discomfort, there is something quite substantial. It's like a whole future opens up to you. But you can't see it yet. You're not in a position to see that yet. And therefore, it will frustrate you. What's going on? Why am I here? Why am I doing this? What is the problem to begin with? What is the problem anyway, is what I heard. I just heard be okay with what's going on right now. You're like, imagine you are on a body of water and you are in a canoe. And the water is a little bit shaky. It's not hugely wavy, but it's a bit shaky. And you don't have oars, so you're using your body to stabilize the boat so it doesn't tip over. That's kind of sort of what it feels like. So imagine being in a boat and the water is a little bit bumpy and you're holding on to, the boat, the sides of the boat, in order to stay afloat. But it takes a lot of strength. Okay. Actually, some of you may have upper body stiffness, interestingly enough. Okay. So if you're having a lot of upper body stiffness, it feels very much like tension, because you're giving off a lot of tension. There's a lot of tension. Okay, so I feel tension. Okay. But all this boils down to one thing. You are moving on from something that you were used to and into something very different. And part of your ego will protest that. You'll see it by the level of your resistance. Some of the old beliefs might come to the surface right about now. Things you used to identify yourself with, but you are now looking at that and saying, no, thank you. I choose not to live there anymore, meaning in the past. You are choosing to let go of your past. Okay? And there's an understanding that how you experience your past is part of your soul's creation, but you no longer have to identify yourself as your past. In other words, you are choosing to no longer live in the past. And that is a big undertaking. To have that experience, to shift that is to shift your own frequencies, to shift your own vibration. So, pile 1, you are in an energy upgrade. Okay? And it may feel like you're taking 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. That's what it may feel like for a while. Okay? You might have some discouraging thoughts. I don't know what I'm doing. And this process is necessary for you to wake up from your sleep. That's a metaphor. So that you can be awake. So that you can awaken. So that you can awaken. An awakened person realizes more of their potential. And you are full of potential. We all are. But you are not identifying yourself as your potential. You're identifying yourself as lack or less than. Okay? Whatever experience you are going through, whatever this transition is, whatever you are holding on to, this is going to help you rediscover your truth. Rediscover. Which means it's been there. You are just rediscovering. You are remembering. Okay? What message do we have for pile number 1? cosmic ordering, divine alchemy, conscious manifesting. Okay. So I basically said, what's the end result of, whatever they're going through? Pile number 1, frequency upgrade. Ability to manifest almost like at will, which means things don't necessarily materialize in front of you as quick as your thoughts, but in comparison, how long it used to take you to manifest things, it's 10 times faster. And that's because the higher we vibrate, the more we understand the process of creation, the more we can use that ability on a conscious level, effectively creating our experiences and perspectives, right? So any limiting belief, perspective you have about yourself right now, as you're hearing this, whatever it may be, one of your bigger limiting perspectives, you are letting it go, but it's not easy. It's not easy. Why? Because it's all you've known. It's what you have depended on. It's what you have relied on. It's what tells you that you are you on many levels. And to give that up means that you no longer identify as that. So if you no longer identify as not good enough, then what will you identify as instead? That is the question you need to ask yourself right now, in this juncture. Okay. And they're saying, and don't beat around the bush, just be real with yourself. For example, if you want to experience being an important person, ask yourself, what's so important about importance? Why do I want to feel important? Perhaps it's because on some level you don't feel important, which means we have to look at that. Why? Where's it coming from? What story did someone tell you about you that led you to believe that you are not important? Okay? And you are realizing that it's a story. And by realizing that it's a story, you can choose how you play out the rest of your story. Okay? You can choose how you play out the rest of your story, which is your life. You either choose it from a perspective of limitations or perspectives that you are whole and self-acceptance. Completely shifts the way you do things, right? Black and white. Okay? Remember that you are already connected. You've never been disconnected. What has been disconnected is your perception. That's not even that. It's the level of perception that you don't have in terms of your connectedness. Because it's there. Remember, it's there. It's always there. It's just a matter of tapping into it. And we can't tap into something we're not looking for. In other words, to tap into something, you have to look for it, right? So this is what I have for you, pile number 1. Hello, pile 2. These are going to be messages for you. So let's see what the next new chapter of your life over the next 3 to 4 months, what you might be experiencing. What can we expect? A beautiful new beginning. Okay. So in spring, many of you will experience a brand new beginning, as if a new door or a new chapter is opening. Okay. you have been doing some restoration on your home. And that is both a metaphor and an actuality. Okay? You have been restoring your home, your inner being. You have been restoring your inner home. Now, your inner home is where you feel safety. Your inner home is where you feel safety. You feel safe on the inside, not on the outside. And there was something you needed to look at with that respect, and some challenge of safety. So pile number 2, this feels to me like in the next 3 to 4 months, you will be encouraged to look at your ideas of what you perceive as safety and how you experience safety and how you get safety. Your whole idea around safety, inner safety, is being looked at. And you are looking for why you don't feel safe. You are digging for clues, if you will. And these clues are very important pieces of information, because they ultimately serve you by you choosing differently. Your choices will change as a result of your idea of you changing. Okay. Also, redefining within yourself what a relationship means to you. What does it mean to be in a relationship? With your partner, with your friend, with yourself first and foremost. What does it mean to be in a relationship? Some of you will be questioning relationships and asking yourself, how can I create a better relationship? In other words, what can I do to experience a better relationship? What part can I play to experience better relationships? Notice what you're doing. You're taking the onus on yourself. You're taking the responsibility in your own hands, in understanding that you are part of a relationship, and therefore what the relationship offers back to you is part of your making. So if you are not happy in a relationship, for example, look at the reasons why. Look at the real reasons why inside of you, why you are not happy, not why someone is making you unhappy. They can't. They don't have that power. We think they do, but they don't have that power. Happiness is on the inside. It's not on the outside. Okay? We can temporarily feel unhappy for various reasons. But if we're permanently unhappy, we cannot blame something or somebody else. So this is about you connecting with your home, your inner safety. What does relationship mean to me? What does my relationship mean to me? Perhaps you are asking yourself, what does your relationship mean to you? What does it mean? How would you qualify it? How do you care for your relationship, including relationship with yourself? How much do you invest in your relationship? How much voice do you give to the other relating part, be a person or yourself? How much are you willing to give yourself up for love, for example? And that's because if you give yourself up, there is no longer you to enjoy an experience. You're not free to experience your own thing. Okay? You're projecting all your energy to somebody else. In many ways, pile 2, you are taking your power back. For some of you, you are no longer letting people dictate to you what you should do or how you should do something. Okay? You are choosing to try your own innovative ways. Okay? On the other hand, if you're someone who is typically very stubborn and is not open to suggestions, I would say that there's an opportunity for you to experience a different perspective particularly about you within relationships. Okay? There's an opportunity for something to turn the lights on. The idea being, when the lights come on, we see things we were not able to see before. Why? So that you can understand who you are on a deeper level. Why? Again, the more you know yourself, the more you can express more of your potential. It all goes back to the same thing. Okay? I just heard, you are no longer valid. You are even more than that. You are no longer valid. You are even more than that. So if you feel like you are not feeling valid, or like you want to be validated, what the universe is saying to you, you are even more the validation that you're looking for already. You are even more than the validation you are looking for already. And the moment you begin to see yourself from a much higher perspective, much aware perspective, the more you will be able to realize that. And if you are someone who seeks approval or has a tendency to be approval seeker a lot of the time, then that means that you are not learning, or you haven't learned yet how to validate yourself. But you've learned how to invalidate yourself. That you're doing very well. So if you can invalidate you, then equally so you can validate you. What's the difference? The difference is where you focus your energy. What you say about yourself, which is focused energy. What you think about yourself, which is focused energy. If you think of yourself as lack, you can equally think that you are more than lack. Because you certainly are. You just don't remember. And my job is to keep knocking. Hey, wake up, wake up. Wake up. Realize that you are in a dream. That's okay. It's a very important dream. But it's a dream. And it all seems real. In fact, it is real to you. But there is more beyond the real that you see. Infinitely more. You just can't see it yet. Because we are at a certain vibration. Okay? And how much view we have into that higher awareness is tied to how we are vibrating. And the less lack you perceive about yourself, the less limited you feel, the less you seek out approval of others, the more you can become. the more you can experience another version of yourself, another potential. Now, if you choose to play small because that is what you believe you prefer, okay, highly doubt it, but if you prefer, because let's face it, if you're playing small, then that must be your preference. It must be. If it wasn't your preference, you wouldn't be playing small. You'll be playing out some other preference. The question is, why this preference and not another preference? Why not? And to realize that you have a choice in that. It's powerful stuff. What's going to come as a result of these realizations? Evolutionary downloads, recalling power, future thinking, Arcturian light codes. So let's just put it out there. You're a giver. If you're pile number 2, you're a giver. You're a receiver, you're a receiver, not so much. Many of you have a tendency to overgive. When we overgive at our own detriment, then it's like we are robbing ourselves from what is truly ours, and we're giving it away. Your power belongs to you and no one else. So if you say to yourself that you don't have power, I can't do this, you are literally lying to yourself. You don't know that you're lying to yourself, but you're lying to yourself. You're telling yourself some untruths, which are fine because they're part of your experience to understand, but they're not the real truth. Okay? When you begin to see this, when you begin to understand the higher octaves, if you will, you begin to tap into these other intelligent beings that are aligning with humanity in order to share information that will help humanity see itself differently. Okay? To see itself through source's eyes versus through ego's eyes, while still experiencing the experience of an ego. Okay? Big stuff. You might obviously have a connection to Arcturians. You might be working with them already. They may present themselves to you as blue angels, is what I heard. Blue beings. That is how mine appear to me. Or no color at all. Maybe it's just an awareness. But it's as if someone is... what's the word, please? Oh my gosh. Whispering to you. Thank you. It's like if someone is whispering to you. Perhaps your view of yourself changes, which completely shifts the relationship you have with yourself. Perhaps this is where the door opens, where you begin to experience all these other beings that can now communicate with you because you opened that up. You opened up that channel. By removing certain blocks or blockages or limitations from yourself, it's like you're opening that channel for this communication to happen. And they've been waiting for you for a long time for some of you, okay? And I just heard somebody saying, I can't do this. And what came back was, yes, you can. You've done it many times. You know how to do this already. You know how to communicate with other beings. You've done this before. If you're listening to this channel, you've done this before. You've done this before many times. In fact, you're so familiar with the process, it's not even funny. You just don't remember. Okay? Some of you might have some vague experiences, but not quite sure what to make of it. Some of you may have seen orbs when you were young. Some of them were light orbs, blue orbs. Okay? And your communication with these beings is somehow tied to ancient civilizations. So you might connect with some ancient civilizations. Like I'm getting Mayans, civilizations like that. Okay? Lemuria. Okay? You are a frequent traveler yourself, which means you are likely like the beings that are communicating with you. Okay? You're one and the same. You're just wearing this bodysuit right now. Okay? And it's like they're nervously waiting. Come on. Are you going to wake up? Come on. You're almost there. Come on. Cheering you on. And trying to get your attention. Okay? So there's a lot of shifting here with relationships. Your human relationships, your relationship with yourself, and your relationship with the universe and universal beings. Light beings in particular. Okay? Also, for many of you, your crown chakra is opening. Okay? You are also seeking your own inner acceptance. You are seeking your own inner acceptance. You are seeking it internally. You are no longer looking to the outside to accept you. You are looking to you to accept you first and foremost. That's when the magic begins. That's when the magic happens. Remarkable things happen when we begin to accept ourselves. For one, there is a tremendous level of peace that overcomes one when they decide to no longer be at odds with themselves. If you literally create a new vibration within yourself when you start to accept yourself. Okay? And my job, as they're showing me right now, is to help you bridge polarities. And in order for me to intelligently talk about this subject, I have to have some understanding of how to do that. You understand the concept, the idea behind polarity and integrating polarity. And I will tell you from my experience, my personal experience and experience of my clients, that it's impossible to integrate something you are not in acceptance of. It's impossible. So the more conflicted we are, the more disjointed we are, and the more we don't feel whole. Okay. So if there's one relationship that you can give your promise to that you will do better, is the relationship you have to yourself and with yourself. When you start to realize how you relate with yourself and the accompanying things you do as a result of that relationship, the more you begin to see that, the more empowered you become. The more empowered you feel. Okay? alienness. Speaking of different type of vibrations from different consciousnesses, you might already feel like an alien. So if you've got quote-unquote aliens contacting you, then you're in good company. Hey, you probably are waiting for it, some of you, and it's like, can you take me home, please? Take me back home. I don't like it here anymore. Thank you. I've had enough. Okay. It's interesting because they said alienness tells you who you are not. I'm gonna have to think about that. Alienness helps you see who you are not. Oh, right. It helps you see yourself as an individual, as that is your experience, is to be an individual, to have a unique individual experience. So if you've been feeling like an alien, I have a funny suspicion you're not going to feel that way for too long. Something is going to click inside you. Something is going to click. And it's going to be like you woke up. Okay? Remember, we're all awakening, so that doesn't surprise me. But you might be experiencing the need to hide right now. You might have an inferiority complex, so you are likely someone who believes themselves to be inferior. Again, this is if there's a part of you that believes that it's inferior, that part of you is going to limit your experience in every relationship you have to varying degrees, because it will affect everything you do. And since it's a part of you, you will affect everything you do in limited ways. If you have the belief that you are somehow inferior, I understand that belief. It's very much part of my experiences. Had to crawl my way out of that, and I'm still crawling up. As they say, it's a journey. Okay. On the other hand, on the other opposite side of inferiority is confidence. I just heard you're more confident than you think you are. You just don't believe in yourself. So they're saying, if you say you don't have confidence, it's not that you don't have confidence, it's that you don't believe in your confidence. You must have confidence, otherwise you would not get out of bed. You must have, there's so many things you're confident about. Of course you have confidence. Okay. Just a matter of perception. So that is what I have for you, pile number 2. All right, pile number 3. Let's see what we have for you. All right. So when I was shuffling these cards, they literally just flew out. Every time I said when I asked for a message, flew out. So none of them were picked, they all flew out. And pile number 3, I'm just going to show it to you. You have 10 of Wands. Although this card depiction may look pretty gruesome, what it is showing me is that you are at an end of a cycle, and let me just feel into this. Something old is falling away. That's how I'm going to say it. Something old is falling away. It can no longer support you. This could be a job, but I'm just going to give you the energy. It can no longer support you. And here's what I'm seeing. Because you've hung on it a little bit too long, it's now going to feel at first slightly uncomfortable. Okay? So there is a situation here that is no longer that you've hung on to for too long. And it put you in a not a very stable position, not a very strong position. Okay? And they're saying is that you've learned to identify with that, whatever that is. And perhaps that's why it was that it was hard for you to let it go, because you identified with it. So I'm going to let you guys think about that and see how your body energy absorbs this. Okay? I just heard you have to save yourself. Now again, this feels like a gruesome thing, but it actually isn't. It tells me there's a new beginning, and these are chapters, right? Brand new chapters. Yeah, something is no longer. Something is no longer. Okay, now look at this. When I said, what is it they need to work on? You have progressive desires. So this represents the things we're holding on to for dear life. Things we're too attached to. Okay? Perhaps this is what that is. Perhaps whatever is no longer, whatever is ending, has the opportunity, that experience has the opportunity to shed some light on your own attachments to things and situations and people. And I just heard deserving, undeserving. Again, here we go, a limitation that's an illusion that's very prominent amongst people. So what are you used to holding on to for far too long? To the point that there is not much left of you, like you give yourself away or you overgive, overdo. I'll tell you how this appears to me. It feels like there's an energy of enslavement to some entity that can't be seen. It's like maybe you feel enslaved or attached to something you can't see, but it's so powerful you can't let it go. It has this thing, this belief has a very strong hold on you. Perhaps if you are someone who is in a relationship, as an example, and you feel like you don't deserve better, or you are undeserving, and it's a toxic relationship, perhaps the reason why you choose to stay is because you don't believe you deserve better, or you don't think you can experience better. And they're saying you decide what you are deserving of. So if you decide what you are deserving of, then that means that you get to decide that I am deserving. But you're not doing that. You're still choosing to believe in this idea of somehow being undeserving. And that limits you. It limits your quality of life. It robs you of powerful experience you could have if you decide to let that old perception go. Okay? The idea is undeserving. So pile number 3, you've got some undeserving stuff going on. Okay? Now, one of the things that religion teaches, and nothing against religions, this is just statement without any passion behind it. At least the whatever little I know about religions is that many teach that we are undeserving of God's love until we repent our sins or whatever that is. So that idea of undeserving is very much ingrained in our psyche. Not everywhere, but it's interwoven in our society's conditioning, if I may say. Now think about this for a second. If we have a whole bunch of people that feel undeserving, they're going to keep themselves small. They're going to play small. They're not going to play big. They're going to play small. And I just said, well, how could that be beneficial? And I heard was, it's not, but, and I know that there's another story that they don't want to go into, but if you're feeling undeserving, you're going to keep yourself down. You're going to limit yourself. You're not going to experience more of life. And that's just going to be this vicious cycle. So going back to the idea of deserving or undeserving, you might want to ask yourself the question, where does this come from? Where does this come from, this thing that I feel like I don't deserve? The idea around deservingness, where does this come from? Who is it? Is it even mine? Or is it somebody else's and I just trained myself out of necessity to believe that it's true for me and now it's my truth? Most of the time it's not even our belief systems, it's somebody else's that we borrow. And you are at a point right now where you can say, you know what? No, thank you. I choose to no longer live that belief system. I choose something else. But if you don't know that you have a choice, you won't choose better. You just won't. Okay? So you are in a space of choosing right now, pile number 3. Okay? Understanding how you hold on to things, why you hold on to things for too long, why you hang on to things that are so much hard work with not a lot of payoff. It's almost like you're keeping yourself like a slave, and I'm going, why? Why is that happening? Again, if you feel undeserving, you're not going to ask for much. You're going to be, at mercy of other people. You're not going to allow yourself to express uniquely. You're just going to keep yourself small. And you've already played small. You've played small already. You might want to ask yourself, do I want to play big? If the answer is yes, great. The next question is, how have I stopped myself from playing big? What do I do to me so I don't play big? What do I do? What do I say to myself? What do I communicate to myself to keep myself being small? And then notice what comes up. See, the thing is, we're usually not conscious of these conversations, but these conversations happen in our heads all the time. So if you feel undeserving, you're going to have correlating thoughts running in your head. On the other hand, if you no longer have that kind of belief, you're not going to have those other thoughts. Your belief is going to produce corresponding thoughts. So if you feel about yourself as deserving, you're going to have deserving thoughts, because it feeds off one another, right? So the idea of deserving and undeserving is being presented. Okay? Perhaps whatever it is that you are holding on to for too long was because on some fundamental level you felt like you didn't deserve more, or you couldn't see more for yourself, or you didn't think there was possibility that you could experience something more, and you just kept there. You just kept stuck there. Okay? And also attachments, it's a big theme for you, pile number 3. I'm also getting July is important. So this may make sense to you in or around the month of July 2023, okay? Or perhaps it happened in July 2022, but this was specifically asking what is likely to transpire over the next 3 to 4 months, okay? Okay, look at this. So what's going to be the result of all the looking within and releasing the undeservingness and all the attachments? What's going to be the end result of that? All-encompassing love, unconditional acceptance, and serenity. I kid you not, this is what you're getting. So essentially, first, something's got to go. You've been hanging on to it for way too long. There's an issue of attachments. Okay? What are you attached to? Why are you attached to it so much? Why are you hanging on? Why do you wait till quote unquote it's too late? What's the mechanism? Recognize the mechanism. It's also likely linked to the idea of deserving or undeserving. Okay? So this is going to bring up some stuff for you. And that's a good thing. Because remember, if our stuff is hidden, we can't do anything about it. We cannot make a different choice. We cannot choose to express differently. Okay? That's why it's important for those things to come up to our face. So we go, okay, here's what the problem is. Okay? Not to run away from it, but to actually face it. To face your truth and to face your shadows takes a lot of hard work. I admire anybody who does it. It is my playground that I love to play with. I just love how the mind works. It's just, I just love it. So diving into shadows, I love it, but it's sometimes not a pleasant experience. I'll be the first one to tell you that. But the benefit I get from that is I can't even assign a value to it. It's invaluable. It's absolutely invaluable. So don't be afraid to face in your shadows or your shadow self. Your shadow self has an important message to you. It says, look at me. Look at me. This is what I represent. It's fascinating in my sessions. I get clients to a place where they can communicate with their shadows. And it's always such an intriguing and amazing experience to watch, because I can see their conscious, logical side having a hard time grasping what's happening. It's because it's out of their norm when communication is happening with one's shadow. It's a beautiful experience to watch, to witness. It's literally like witnessing someone's lights going on, like a Christmas tree that lights up. Boom. Something that wasn't there is all of a sudden there. Boom. There it is. It's amazing. Okay. All-encompassing love, unconditional acceptance, serenity. They're asking me to focus on the word acceptance. I believe pile number 3, the issues around acceptance, which is completely connected to the insignificance. This is what you've come here to learn. You've come here how to live as an integrated being. And we've already discussed that it's very hard to integrate something that we are not in acceptance of. It's very hard. In fact, I'd say it's probably nearly impossible. So there's an opportunity for integration. Yourself with yourself. quote unquote, the good and the bad and the ugly and everything in between. Accepting all aspects of you, including the limitations, but not accepting the limitations so that you can be limited, but to look at it, to see it, to acknowledge, yes, this is what it is right now, but from this point forward, I choose differently. Okay? So it's to look at your limitations in order to realize, this is how I limit myself. This is how I give myself permission to do something or not do something. This is how I do it. Look at it as a mechanism, okay? And ask yourself, do I still want that piece in there? Or do I want a different piece? Perhaps I would rather have something that is more allowing, where I can allow myself to allow more rather than hold myself back. And the difference between allowing and experiencing limitation is a matter of perspective. Okay? Choose your perspective very wisely. Because perspective is how you see yourself, and how you see yourself is how you will experience your world through your own unique filters. Okay? I just heard, you either work towards yourself every day or work against yourself. Which would you prefer? Of course, with acceptance comes serenity. Because acceptance simply means we are no longer fighting. We are not at odds. We are at peace with ourselves. So pile number 3, you're going to feel a lot more at peace with you over the next several years. Okay, and the next 3-4 months seems to be the starting of that. Okay. You're shifting from limited to unlimited, even though your body has limitations. It's the understanding that you are unlimited. However, you are now embodying a certain frequency that is grounding you in this space, and there are certain things that are very hard to do because of the density. Like, for example, you can't fly other than on an airplane. Okay, so there's obviously some limitations within human form. It's also organizing your thoughts differently as a result of this perception change. There's a lot of learning around what your needs are. Understanding yourself in terms of what you need to be happy, identifying things you need. Things you need. And the person who knows best about what you need is none other than you. Or at least that's the idea. Because if you don't know what your needs are, how can you nurture your needs? You can't. If you don't know what they are, you're not going to be able to nurture them. When you don't nurture your needs for too long, you become dissatisfied. Dissatisfaction often leads to loneliness, feelings of rejection, feelings of despair, feelings of poor me. Okay? You don't have to experience that anymore. You don't have to experience that anymore. It doesn't have to be part of your future. The idea of you feeling that you're undeserving or something along those lines. There's a part of you that needs your attention or yearns to have your attention, but you're too busy. So some of you are like, I'm too busy for this stuff. I don't want to face this. You're going to face it sooner or later because we're all going there. You might as well, face it when it's presented to you. At least you have an opportunity to challenge yourself. And of course, through challenges, we grow. But this is the end result of all your hard work, is unconditional self-acceptance and serenity and love. Who doesn't want to experience that? So that's what your new chapter looks like. It's pretty dynamic. If this makes sense to you on a level right now, which I would be surprised, give me a comment. Maybe come back to this video a few months from now and see how it all plays out. Thank you so much for your time. Again, if you wish to work with me and my team, that information is down below, and the extended version will be uploaded in a day or two, so click on the link. It's absolutely free. Until then, thank you so much for your time, and see you soon. Bye-bye.